Hey, it's JBSC again. Hopefully this will be the last one, or the next video will be the last one. But I want you to see these are and everything before this, these 10 videos were basically done just to show you how they were lying or even manipulating the data. And I was showing you how to get everything, how to find that data, what organization does it, to get those charts. But now this video going forward is really all you have to know about climate change. The other videos, and they prove it, don't get me wrong, a lot of stuff I said in those videos did prove that they are wrong. But I did them to prove that they were wrong. I mean, it did prove I was right, but I didn't do those videos to prove I was right. I did mainly what it did was prove that they are wrong or they're liars. That they prove they are liars. You know what I mean? Like them saying that you warm the planet up and you get droughts. No, you don't. You warm the planet up, and some of the CO2 comes out of the water. I mean, you heat up the planet, and a lot of the water evaporates out of the oceans. That's going to cause rain. That's not going to cause drought. Like I said about the Sahara Desert, 200,000 acres or whatever it is, square kilometers, is now farmland instead of being a desert, a desolate desert. But anyways, here's two graphs. Bottom is, million years. This is Fahrenheit. Same on here, but it's also for carbon dioxide. Green is carbon dioxide. Red is the temperature. Up here, there's only temperature. Now this is a government. I don't actually know who actually originally made either one of these graphs, but the government uses this one, and the CO2 coalition. That's the organization that's run by the guy who invented Greenpeace. He did Greenpeace, and then he said they're too crazy, and he left. He formed the CO coalition. He uses this one, but I want you to look at them. They're both, and also I want you to notice they stretched out. They stretched out this first part here. Okay, so you can see this is 5 million years here. 5 million years over here, it's 60 million years. That's the same distance. But they did that so that they can show more, detail. Like this is really, this right here, this is just a line. See this line going up? That's the same way as this. But they squinched it together, okay? And I do think both of these graphs are actually legitimate. They're a little bit off. You might say, well, they look different. You're thinking about 500 million years. They don't get, as much as they want us to believe that they get exact temperatures and stuff, they do not get exact temperatures. They get guesses, really good guesses, but that's all they get, okay? And if you take into account that this has been stretched out, the x-axis, you can see it goes up, 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 just like this does, up, 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 and then it flattens out and goes up and down. Same here, it goes up and down. Only difference is this has more predominated, highs. This has a whole bunch of just smaller up and downs. But then what happens? It goes, you got a dip all the way into the cold area. Comes back up, flattens out, comes up, flattens out, and then it goes down, and this blue stuff is basically this curve here. It comes down, goes up, and what? It goes over, comes up, goes over. Then you got a big dip, right? Big giant dip. Same here, big giant dip. And then it goes up and flattens out. This one goes up and kind of flattens out. So you can see how they're pretty similar. Actually very similar this isn't like the last 1,000 years. This is the last 500 million years, man. So cut these scientists some slack, man. So they're pretty good. I do believe both graphs are good and legitimate. I just don't know but you can Google them. Just Google temperature for the last half a billion years or whatever. These charts will come up. They're actually easy to Google. So we'll go with the ones, because usually the people that are on my side are using this graph. The people on the crazy side are using this graph. So I'm going to start with this graph because I want to point out some crazy stuff on it. I mean, it's insane. It's totally insane. Okay, first of all, these are millions of years. So this is 50 million years right here. This is 500 million years. I want you to look, and here's where animals started about 500 million years ago. The arrow should be here, really. And here's where mammals came about it maybe 250 million years ago. But I want you to look at this graph. And what's funny and hilarious is that the person, like that I got this graph off of on their video, they believe in climate crisis instead of climate change. And so they're using this graph and they're trying to tell you, and he says this with a straight face, okay, that we are in an ice age right now, and we're coming out of it, but we're just going to go out of control because the CO2 is such a big greenhouse effect. I want you to look at this now, okay? Here's taking out the ups, because up and down is just the temperature. The years are going this way. So I made lines of the years. See, here's the red line. This was red. The blue line here is this dip. This red line is here. This blue line is from here to here. This red line is from, and so on and so forth, okay? Now, and then I moved them around. See these three little blue spots? Let's say I moved that over to where this red spot is, and I replaced it over here. So now you'd have red all the way down from here to here. And you'd have blue all the way from here to here. So then these two, right? Let's say these two, you just switched them around. So now you'd have red from here all the way to here, and you'd have blue from all the way to here to here. This line, I don't think this guy understands that there's a line right here, this line. Anything below the line is blue. Why do you think that is? Because it's cold. And you know what that means? It's in an ice age. Anything below this dotted line, anything that's blue, is an ice age, for God's sakes. We are in an ice age, and we have been in an ice age for about 50 million years. 50 freaking million years. The same one here. We've been 50 million years would be about right here, and that's right where this point right here is about the same point as right there. So there, 50 million years we've been in an ice age, okay? Let's see, 120 years, actually all the way up to here, all the way here, man. It's just 75% of the time in the last half a billion years, it has been above the dotted line. Only 25% of the time, only 25% of the time has it been below the line. Why do you think that? Because we don't want it below the line. That's why. Well, it's because of nature, but we don't want to be below this line. This line is about 68 degrees or something. Somewhere around. It's around room temperature, really, to tell you the truth. It's about room temperature. At that temperature, anything below the line is an ice age, and anything above the line is you're out of the ice age. You don't want to be in an ice age. I don't understand why I got to... if I went to a little 5-year-old, do you think the planet would be better to be in an ice age or not be in an ice age? They say, well, it would be better to be not in an ice age. You ask an adult, they're like, oh, well, of course we want to be in an ice age. And not only are we in an ice age, we're way down here. To get out of the ice age, we got to be way up here. And I want you to think about this now, okay? Because this right here, this lowest point right here, this is the lowest point it's been in 500, actually 600 million years, okay? Because right after about 600 million years ago, the temperature does go, that's where snowball Earth comes in about 700 million years ago. So temperatures were really low, even compared to us. But this is the lowest recorded history or whatever for the last 500 million years. And we are right here. Like 95% of the last half a billion years has been hotter than it has been today. 95%, right? 95%. Because all these ups and downs, it's really just a little line. It's not, this makes it look like there's a lot more. But 95% of the time, 95% of this whole graph, 95% has been hotter than it has been today. Okay? 95% of our 500 million history, but they pull out a little sliver of our temperature CO2, and they go with that. And they forget about the 500 million years before that when we weren't whatever. So anyways, this is the same chart as this. They just, and they have the dotted line showing where like room temperature is basically, where your ice age ends, and they still think that this is too cold. Way down here is too cold. That's like, we're right here basically. The coldest, where the coldest it's ever been. How are you worried about a global warming? But anyways, this is the same chart as this. It's got the CO2 on it though, okay? Let's see how much time we got. Holy crap, 11 minutes already? So it's got the CO2 on it. Now I want you to see, the CO2 does not, first of all, the temperature drops all the way down here. The CO2 is basically level. Then yeah, the CO2 drops a little bit. Then the temperature goes up. The CO2 does go up a little bit, but the temperature, but all of these ones, the temperature goes first. Like here, the temperature drops first, and then it goes down to this. You know what I mean? Then the temperature goes up first before it starts going. The CO2 goes back up. That's counterintuitive to what they're saying. They're saying it does the opposite. But now here, the CO2 comes down first, and the temperature comes down. Now that correlates to what they're saying. That makes sense to what they're saying. If you took this out of the equation and this took out of that equation and just used a little piece of it, yeah, sure, it looks like CO2 has a big effect on temperature, doesn't it? But look, the temperature goes all the way up here, and it starts rising before the CO2 changes anything. First, the temperature goes, then the CO2 rises, and it doesn't rise like it doesn't go back up to here. The temperature goes all the way up to here. And then the CO2 goes up. It doesn't do what it's supposed to. Then they both level off kind of evenly, right? But then what? When the temperature goes down, the CO2 goes up, and when the CO2 goes down, the temperature goes up. It doesn't make any sense. It's all backwards of what they're saying. Same with this. The CO2 is steadily going down, okay? You figure this is like 100 million years right here. For 100 million years, it's going down, but yet the temperature just keeps going up and down, basically going across straight. How does that correlate? How does that correlate? And then at the end, it kind of does a little bit correlate. The CO2 goes up and goes back down. CO2 goes up, comes back down. Kind of levels out here. This kind of levels out. Because remember, this is stretched out. If this was the way a regular chart is made, you know what I mean? This would be just a line, right? That would just be a line, these squiggly up and down things. So it would kind of correlate. But you can see that most times it does not correlate to what they're saying, and it's doing the opposite. This cannot be, that is opposite, okay? That is opposite. That is not, okay? Same with this. The temperature goes, nothing happens to the temperature goes all the way down here. Nothing, no CO2 difference before that, though. Then the CO2 goes down. Then the temperature goes all the way up here. Even though the CO2 is going down, and then once it levels off, it goes up a little bit. Then it goes back to where there's. Do you see how is that correlating? They'll pull out a little piece of today's history, and it'll be like this too, because it does. When you get close up here, it does correlate very good to what they're saying, meaning that the CO2 and the temperature do correlate. But the temperature always rises first and decreases first, then the CO2. That's opposite of what they're saying.